let's check out the YouTuber Salty Cracker. Uh, having having some fun over teachers. Protesting the reopening of schools.
Well, once we get Orange Man into office for 2020, one of the other swamps that we need to drain, besides Washington, D.C. and Petalwood, California, is just the public education system in general. This is a job, this is a sector of our market that is completely filled with left-wing, radical left-wing activists. These are not teachers. These are people who have a political ideology, and they will shove it onto your kids, and they will...
Well, yeah, they're still teachers. Um, some maybe more qualified than others. It's no different than the teachers that have conservative ideas and sometimes speak about it in their classrooms.
hold your kids hostage in order to get their political ideas met. Take a look at this. This is absolutely insane. These people are so far left that they don't even care that they're starting to look like, even just out in the open, outright scumbags. This is from Infowars.com. Teachers Union makes tombstones to scare kids from returning to school. Insists a list of far-left demands must be met before reopening schools.
It's amusing how he always uses Infowars as, like, his, like, go-to site. But if I was a high schooler, I would be worried about going back to school, especially since, like, one of the first schools to reopen had a coronavirus scare already from a student testing positive. And if I had kids, I would also be worried about my kids going back to school. So the idea of people being worried, and it's not just the kids getting infected, it's the teachers and staff members getting infected, and people um are worried about dying from it because of the number of people that have already died from coronavirus. So the fear of it and the worry is pretty founded in reality.
A teachers union out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin erected mock gravestones of students to scare kids from returning to school over the Kung flu. The Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, in partnership with a far-left group called Leaders Igniting Transformation, placed several fake tombstones on school grounds as part of a, quote, National Day of Resistance to keep kids out of school unless their demands are met. Here you can see two idiots from the tank division of the elementary school, and they're putting a tombstone that says, "Here lies a third grade student from Green Bay who caught COVID at school." And here's another one of their propaganda pieces. It's a tombstone that says, "Rest in peace, Grandma. Caught COVID from helping grandkids with homework." And so, of course, like any scumbag terrorist organization out there, they've got a long laundry list of demands that must...
Wow, just like any terrorist organization. So, peacefully protesting by making signs in the shape of tombstones and stuff is terrorism, according to Mr. Saltine over here. What isn't terrorism to the far right besides, like, outright murder?
must be met before they go back to school, before they go back and don't teach your kids how to read, write, or do math at grade level. Take a look at this. It reads like the Joe Biden, the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren Democrat playlist for turning this country into a communist dystopia. Take a look. Wisconsinites demand no in-person schooling until scientific and public health data supports it. You kind of mean like how the data already supports sending kids back to school because nobody's dying from the Wu flu as long as they're under 80 years old, right?
No. As long as they're under 80, that's a total lie right there. There's been a number of kids under 10 that have died from it. There's been a number of young teens that have died from it. There's a lot of people between the ages of 20 and 40 that are dying from it, as well as people between, like 60 and 80 and stuff that are dying from it. The novel coronavirus is affecting um, everybody of all ages and not just people over the age of 80.
That's where the vast majority of people are dying. They're 80 plus years old. No kids are dying from this. They're not spreading it around. You can go back to work, idiots. But no, they're waiting for the scientific data. What type of scientific data? Well, the scientific data comes from the WHO or just straight from China. Oh, okay, well then never, I guess. I guess you're waiting for these numbers that don't exist. Anyway, they also demand police-free schools. Police-free schools. Because that makes a whole lot of sense. Because police-free schools are fucking paramount to making sure that kids are able to, again, read, write, or do basic arithmetic at fucking grade level, right? It's all the police. It's all the... I guess I solved it, right? The reason why there's an education gap between whites and Asians versus blacks and Mexicans is because the fucking SROs, guys. The police...
Well, police aren't really needed for schools. As personally, I'm against cops in schools as they're pretty abusive and they've mainly have been used to arrest students for minor offenses and to fulfill the school to prison pipeline.
Officers roaming the halls are going around breaking all the poor black kids' number 2 pencils. Fuck you, black kid, take that! Now you'll never pass fucking basic algebra. Stupid. What else are you idiots asking for? Or demanding, I should say. Not even asking. What else are you terrorists demanding? All schools must be supported to function as community schools with adequate numbers of counselors and nurses. See, some of these things that they're asking for, I would say actually all of them, are fucking impossible.
Let's go back and see what they were wanting. No unschooling until scientific and public health data supports it, which is really reasonable. That can be waited on. We can do in virtual schooling. Funds can be given to schools and families to help gain the adequate technology needed to help do virtual schooling as maybe a bit more staff members. Police free schools, yeah, let's just remove police from schools. They aren't really needed to be on property at all times. Having an adequate number of counselors and nurses, yeah, especially during if you want to have schools reopen, more nurses would be definitely necessary to help with the possible increase in infections and sicknesses. Counselors would also definitely be good to help kids deal with the stress and stuff that they're dealing with during the pandemic. Safe conditions, including lower class sizes, PPE, cleaning, testing, and other key protocols. That's actually really reasonable as well, because you want to make sure that the environment people are in are clean, that they have protective gear. Lower class sizes will help decrease the number of people that can transmit to each other. They'll need also like to have all the windows open at all times and stuff for better air circulation. Equitable access to online learning. Yes, that people who don't want to do in schooling learning can do that. Support our communities and families, including a moratorium on eviction foreclosures, direct cash assistance to those unable to work, and other critical social needs. I I would agree with this, as teachers are part of the people who are probably facing evictions, as um the as you know, millions of people are facing eviction at this time. Some places like Tennessee have a 58% um uh uh what 58% rate of people who are have a possibility of getting evicted, with the lowest being 22. Moratorium on new charter or voucher programs. I can see how that would be good, as it would help prevent public funds from being given to private schools. And massive infusion of federal money to support the reopening, funded by taxing the billionaires in Wall Street. Yes, because it's time for Wall Street and the billionaires to start paying their fair share, as well as they have the ability to help people during this crisis, and taxing them a little bit would not harm them. This is what Mr. Saltine considers to be terroristic demands.
See, some of these things that they're asking for, I would say actually all of them, are fucking impossible. You're never going to have an adequate amount of counselors or nurses. We've been cutting these positions from public schools forever. I was a public school teacher like fucking 20 years ago, and we were cutting those jobs. They don't exist these days. So you're
That's why we need to fund more adequately fund schools, so that they have the budget to pay for nurses and stuff. Uh, um, the point of there is not enough of them, or you'll never have enough, is just a matter of budgetary and funding. With a number of schools having their fundings cut, year after year, it makes it harder to have like the adequate staffing needed to properly help students in the needs that they need help with.
never getting them back, by the way. And they're like, well, we're not going back to work unless we have 4.5 counselors for every 2 kids. You never had that, and you'll never get that. But anyway, what else do you idiots have? They're demanding safe conditions, including lower class sizes, PPE, cleaning, testing, and other key protocols. They also want equitable access to online learning, support for our communities and families, including a moratorium on fucking evictions, foreclosures, and direct cash assistance to those unable to work, and other critical social needs. Oh, hell no. I mean, look at what they're demanding. This is fucking socialism. They're demanding socialism. They want the government to give people free money so they don't get kicked out of their houses. This is fucking stupid. You're never going back to work, and I'm fine with this. The other thing on the
What is See, I don't understand what some people have a problem with the government helping the citizens during economic crises, or health crises, natural crises like this, when that is the job of the government, is to help people. Um, well, one of the jobs is, to help its citizens during times like this. So, call it what you want, call it socialism, call it evil, but the government does need to help people. Um, uh, which is, if you look at the other governments in other nations, the reasons why those nations are able to reopen with less health risk of a resurge in coronavirus, is because the government did a lot more to help their citizens during various lockdown phases, and that allowed people to keep their houses without risk of losing their homes, or having to fear medical debt for catching corona.
the list is they want a moratorium on charter and voucher programs. So they want their competition squeezed out, and then of course they're demanding more free government cheese. They're demanding more money from this racist Cheeto they've been yelling at for 4 or 5 years at this point. They demand that he gives them more money. Get fucking wrecked.
It's not we're demanding Trump to give his money, it's the federal government to give money, which is taxpayers' money, which is people's money. So, yes, people can demand the government to give them money that has been collected from them, that is to be used to help the citizens during a time of need.
These people are only talking like this. These public school assholes, all of these cocksuckers are only this fucking self-righteous because they know if they don't go back to work, they're still going to get a paycheck. They are still going to get a paycheck. I think Donald Trump should say, listen, no federal funding for schools that aren't opening up. And by the way, we're going to inject a couple $100 billion into education federally, but it's attached to the kid. It doesn't go to the public school. So if the kid doesn't go to school, that's fine. The family gets it.
Well, the Trump cannot do that. He does not have that type of authority. You can wish he does this all you want, but he cannot do it.
It's turned into a voucher program out there. So these people who want to send their kids to school, who aren't playing this woo-flu nonsense out there, can pick and choose where they want to send their kids, and a big old boatload of federal government cheese follows the kid. Get bent, you public fucking school teachers. I love this. They're demanding fucking equitable. We want equitable school outcomes for children. How are you ever going to get that? You lefties have been in charge of the public education system since 1970. It's a public education system completely dominated by flaming left women out there. So if you've got a problem that black and brown kids aren't doing well...
Wow, the school system is dominated by homosexual women, which is why there is a lot of issues with schooling, and not the fact that it's the school systems are massively underfunded.
In the public school system, you only have lefty women to blame for this, and here are those same exact people saying, well, now we're not even going to open up the fucking schools. And on top of this, we're going to put gravestones in front of the school in order to scare your children away from the school. Like they weren't already afraid enough of you dry cunts running these places. But there you have it. The public school system being held hostage by these radical left-wing terrorists who think that they're teachers. Get fucking wrecked. You don't want...
Wow. So, this is his proof that the teachers are terrorists and they're bad people because they want better things during the pandemic for themselves and their students. I find it amusing what this guy considers to be evil. I wonder if he's a Poe or if he's actually a conservative. Because, I mean, I know this is what a lot of conservatives believe, but I don't know.
Want to go to work, that's fine. You don't get paid, and we're going to send our kids to private schools. We're going to send our kid to charter schools. We're going to send our kids to local neighborhood garages where people, the community will get together and they will teach the kids how to read, write, and do math at a basic grade level. Something that you idiots in the public school system haven't been able to do in 30 years. We're going to somehow figure this out in a few weeks if you don't go back to work. And at this point, even if they do go back to work, this swamp needs draining. You can't let a sector of our economy hold us hostage like this. Holy shit. The brazenness of these left-wing fucking activists at this point is insane. But there you have it, my friends. Get out there, vote Trump 2020. Don't send your kid to public school if you don't have to. And get behind his tweets when he's talking about taking federal money, taking it away from public schools and attaching it to students out there. That's how we get school choice. That's how you get a voucher system. That's how you get a little support if you want to send your kid to a private school. Trump 2020. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the video, supporting the channel.